You ever walk into a place just hoping for 5 quiet minutes, and instead your whole past comes crashing down in front of everyone? That's what happened to me the day I brought my baby boy to a checkup at Riverside Children's Clinic. I was already on edge. My son Eli was born with a small heart murmur, nothing life-threatening but something that needed watching. I had no car, no family nearby, and barely any sleep. But I got there on time, holding Eli close in his little blanket. And that's when I heard her voice. Well, look who finally showed her face. Everyone in that waiting room turned. It was Veronica Blake. She stood there in her designer heels and too tight blazer, clutching her overpriced handbag like it was a shield. Her husband, Dr. Daniel Blake, chief of pediatrics at the clinic, stood beside her looking like he wanted to vanish into the floor. "She's the one," Veronica said loudly, pointing straight at me. "The one who said my husband is her baby's father." I froze. My legs felt like stone, but I held Eli tighter and whispered, "We're just here for his appointment." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Don't pretend you're here for care. Everyone knows your type. Find a rich man, trap him with a baby, and hope he pays you off." Some people looked away uncomfortable. Others stared like it was reality TV. And Dr. Blake, the man who once whispered to me that he loved me, that we'd start a family together. He couldn't even meet my eyes. I stayed quiet, not because I didn't have words, but because I didn't need to waste them. My phone was recording tucked in Eli's diaper bag, just like it had been every time Daniel asked me to be patient, to give him time while he lied and disappeared. But when I said softly, "I have nowhere to go," but Eli needs this care, I didn't expect anyone to respond. That's when a voice cut through the air, smooth and steady, like it didn't ask, it commanded. "I believe I can help with that." Heads turned. Even Veronica shut up. It was Julian Cross. Julian Cross, the billionaire philanthropist who owned half the real estate in the city, including this hospital. He walked in like he owned gravity, like silence followed him because even noise didn't want to get in his way. "I watched the whole thing," he said, "and I'd like to understand why a mother and child are being denied care in a facility I fund." Dr. Blake cleared his throat. "It's a misunderstanding. She's a former employee." Julian turned to me. "Miss," I nodded once. "Kendra Sloan." Julian nodded back. "And your baby?" "Eli, 4 months old. And his condition, minor ventricular defect, monitored since birth." He glanced at Dr. Blake. "And you were personally treating him, correct?" Dr. Blake fumbled. "Temporarily, yes, but..." Veronica jumped in. "She tried to blackmail my husband. This whole thing is about money." Julian tilted his head. "So, she's making all this up." "Obviously," Daniel said. "There's no evidence." I reached into Eli's bag and pulled out my phone. Calmly, I said, "Would you like me to play the voicemail where you said you loved me? Or the one where you promised Eli would have your name?" Veronica turned white. Daniel turned green. Julian just smiled. "Perhaps he said we should talk privately." We went upstairs to the conference room. Julian sat at the head of the table like a judge. I sat near the window, Eli sleeping beside me. Daniel sat stiffly, Veronica clinging to the last scraps of her dignity. Julian looked at me. "You have more than a voicemail, don't you?" I nodded. 17 recordings. 6 months worth. Every lie, every promise. And one especially important one where he told me to get rid of the problem before anyone found out he had a biracial baby. Veronica gasped. "You said that she whispered." Daniel stammered. "It was complicated." I shook my head. "No, it was cowardly. You wanted me invisible." Julian turned to him slowly. "Dr. Blake, I've been reviewing reports of discriminatory practices at this hospital for months. Anonymous complaints. Patients of color getting second-rate treatment. And your name shows up. A lot." Daniel laughed nervously. "You're going to take her word over mine." Julian opened his briefcase. "I don't have to. I have emails, case reports, photos, and now, Lus, audio." Veronica stood up. "I want a divorce, and I want you out of my house tonight." Daniel said nothing. I looked at him for the last time and said, "If you had just told the truth, none of this would have happened. But your lies gave me purpose." Then I turned to Julian and said something I'd been holding in for months. "I'm not some naive girl who got caught up in a fantasy. I have a journalism degree. I specialized in medical ethics. I've been documenting everything, dozens of cases of bias, negligence, and abuse in this hospital." Julian raised an eyebrow. "All of that. 53 recordings," I said. 28 emails, 42 photos. There was silence. Then Julian smiled again. Kendra, how would you feel about heading a new department, ethics and accountability? Full authority, triple the salary you had before, and a chance to build something that actually protects patients. That moment right there was the shift. Not revenge, redemption. 18 months later, I walk through that same hospital every day, but now there's a sign on my door that reads, Kendra Sloan, Director of Medical Ethics and Justice. My office overlooks the lobby where it all began. Eli is too, now healthy, happy, and growing like a weed. He comes with me sometimes. The nurses know him by name, and this time they say it with respect. Julian. He's become more than just a mentor. He's a friend, a believer. We've rolled out the Sloan Protocol in 28 hospitals, and minority patients are finally being seen, heard, treated. And Daniel, he lost his license for good, works at a rehab clinic now under supervision. Veronica, she donated her family fortune to fund anti-racism education in med schools. That day in that lobby, they tried to make me small, but I wasn't small. I was just getting started. Funny thing is, if Daniel had just treated me like a human being, he'd still have his job, his wife, his reputation. Instead, his hate gave me the fire I needed to change everything. So now I want to ask you, have you ever seen someone judged before they could even speak? Have you ever watched someone powerful try to silence the truth? Tell me in the comments, what would you have done? Because sometimes justice doesn't arrive on its own. Sometimes we have to drag it into the light.